Aloha mai kākou, happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to Huewai Ola. My name is Kale Chang. It's my pleasure to be your host. Huewai Ola is a webinar series brought to you by Aha Kane and Kanaio Kana. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to strengthen our ohana by uplifting and empowering our kane, our Hawaiian men. Huewai Ola means a gourd of living water, referring to a man as a vessel of life guided by the god Kane. In Hawaiian culture, gourds also represent knowledge. In this series, we'll be introducing you to some extraordinary kane, cultural practitioners, scholars, leaders in our community. They'll share their perspectives, practices, and advocacy in our la hui. Aloha nui to our viewers out there. Mahalo for joining us today. As we get started, please shoot us a quick aloha in our Zoom chat box or Facebook comments and let us know where you're joining us from. All right, welcome to episode 20 of Huewai Ola, ʻAwa. Let's meet our guest for today. He's a third-generation homesteader in Ho'olehua, Moloka'i, and currently grows ʻAwa and other mea'ai for his ohana there. He currently works in historic preservation at Kalaupapa National Park. He is a mo'olono for makahiki ceremonies on both Molokai and Kaho'olawe. He is part of the Polynesian Voyaging Society and a crew member of Hōkūleʻa. He's sailed the Samoa, Tonga, and Aotearoa legs of the Mālama Honua voyage. He's also trained for several years in Papa'awalani as a kahu ʻawa under Kamana'opono crab. He's active in EV repatriation, dry stack stone masonry, and as he says, quote, all kind other things that plenty regular brothers do too. Help me welcome our guest for this week, ladies and gentlemen, Keoki Pescaia. Aloha, bro.
Hey, aloha. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right.
Thank you for joining us, bro. Where are you joining us from today?
From Molokai, on my homestead. I live in Ho'olehua.
All right.
And it's a windy but a hot day. Yeah.
Nice. Before we get started, I really like to give our guests an opportunity just to kind of reintroduce themselves personally. I know I just gave a list of accomplishments, but
yeah. Mahalo for those that introduction. I'm the third generation homesteader here on this aina. My grandpa, who's the first lessee here, received this aina in 1926, and then after he had passed away and the families had moved, my mom stayed home, and so she became the lessee. And since 2006, I've been the lessee here in Ho'olehua. And homesteading was in 1926 was kind of a new venture, for our people. My grandpa, Makaiwi Ohana, came from Waikapu, Maui, and at the time he was being awarded. The people in Waikapu was going through a lot. The waters were being diverted from the streams there, and their way of life was pretty much going to a close, and they were kind of encouraged to go work the plantations, the sugar plantations, And so at the time when this Homestead Act was started, they needed actual people who lived on the land, who were mahi'ai, who knew how to fish and could hunt. And so they went around Hawaii and especially Maui to recruit these types of people who can live off the land. And so my tutu took that as a ho'ailona to, since they don't have water in Waikapu and their lifestyle was changing, they actually came to Molokai on just a promise that they was going to have land and water. And when they came here, it was you know, really eye opener for them because there was no water. You know, they lived away from all the valleys and the watersheds of Kamalo and Manae, which is on the eastern part of the island. And so here in Ho'olihua is very, it's an arid plains land, a lot of wind. And so the first settlers that came to Ho'olihua, homesteaders, really had to depend on their kupuna and their you know, their ike to try and make it a success, yeah. And I think, you know, the struggles and the opportunities that they encountered as they, you know, started their families here on Molokai was was in part, you know, preparation for the lands to perpetuate and to be passed down from generation to generation. They're noticing that, you know, the clouds would pass over Ho'olihua. They went back and looked at the mo'olelo and found out that there was a imu, a heiau named Imu Kalua'ua, which baked the rains. So the, you know, the makua went up and they fasted and they prayed to oki this you know, this thing that was placed upon the land, yeah. So, and they had that kind of faith and that kind of knowing their, you know, their kupuna and how strong it was. Your word, you know, what your word was life. Yeah, you didn't shake hand to agree on things. It was your word. And so they went up and they went oki this thing, and the rains followed them down from Naiva, and hence the success of the homesteading here in Ho'olihua actually started to flourish. And so, you know, knowing and understanding who we are and how much mana we have as Kanaka can really, you know, help us today as Kane and Kanaka in general to you know, to build up those pillars of faith and of confidence, maybe to draw on those things that our kupuna did all the time, and which we kind of don't draw on as much nowadays, yeah. And so I give a lot of you know, I have a lot of aloha for those first settlers who came to Ho'olihua, and my papa them coming from Waikapu, which is plush, and they had water, but, you know, they were being cut off from that source, which is a problem even for today. I think, you know, I'm not sure if the dams or the rivers have been, you know, reopened, but it was that far back, you know. And I'm glad because now I'm able to be here on this aina and which I call home. And I try to show my children that, you know, we have to use what we're blessed with, yeah. Don't squander opportunities, big or small, yeah. And so I think those are the lessons learned by I'm learning from my kupuna who came here from Maui. Maybe a little bit about myself. You know, when I graduated from high school in 1977, I went to school on Oahu, and you know, I tried to go school. I wasn't the best student, yeah. I think I was looking outside the window mostly at what was happening outside than what was happening inside the class. And so I tried to go to school and I did my best as I thought. But I would always, um, you know, if the waves was going good, I would go surf and, you know, any, I mean, plenty of brothers go through that, you know, they get hard time sitting in one classroom. And I was no different. And in going school, you know, I met my sweetheart. When she was a beautiful girl from Tahiti, and I fell in love, you know, for the first time in my life. And it was something that I never felt, but I was like, okay, I stayed learning because I'm not from one big town, yeah, from one small island. And in 1980, I married her, and I started one family. And I soon found out that it ain't all that easy, you know. Now I gotta go work for real, and and um and I was a hard worker. I was eleo. I could do things, uh, and so I started working. But then I had to work two jobs just to make ends meet, you know. And so in doing that, I hardly was home. Um, and so me being one young father, when I would come home, I had expectations that, you know, like, yeah, how come this not done? And, you know, and then my wife at the time she was young too. She, you know, so we gradually fell away and apart from each other. And, and then you know, just more struggles. I was, you know, started to abuse alcohol and drugs, and it's a real scenario for plenty of us brothers, you know, that we cannot cope and with the struggles and things around us, and it is one quick way out, yeah, that that we start doing these things. And by 19 by 81, 82, I was separated from my wife at the time. um, I lived in my car for like months. You know, I never have no place to go, and I never like asked. I didn't want to burden anyone with my problems, but you know, I just kept digging one deeper hole for myself in every way possible. And then you know, and the choices we make as fathers, um, and as young husbands, going to impact us for the rest of our life. And if we cannot cope or deal with those stresses, then we in for a rough ride. And you know, what went kind of ground me was my ohana, and was my pule, and a belief that there's got to be something better out there. And and so after you know, getting to trouble and being arrested and all these things happening, um, I was ordered, court ordered to go to this substance abuse program. And so in 85, I entered into this drug and alcohol program. And you know, before I went there, I never did drink coffee, but brad, it was serving up the strongest coffee they could brew up, you know. And I was like, oh, I mean, it's cool and it's all right, but you know, what else tools they using? They, this one guy talking to us and about, you know, different things, but wasn't connecting to me. And lo and behold, had this Fijian brother in the program, and we just got to talking. And I said, bro, you drink kava? He go, yeah, you know, whole family. And I said, you know, I was introduced to kava in the village, and so I said, wow, we should drink kava. And so we asked the instructor. They said okay, and for the 3 months I was in that class, we just was, you know, mixing and talking and sharing, and that, and the feeling you get from kava, you just start relaxing your you know, the walls you build up was slowly, you know, coming down for some of these brothers in class who really had a problem. And I thought I never have one, a you know, substance problem, but I did. And first you got to recognize that you have that problem, and through ʻAwa, that was my real intense love affair with ʻAwa. It helped me through that dark part of my life that it kind of shaped me, and it made me really think what I was doing. And you know, I, like I said, I really never liked being that program, but I went, and I'm glad I did. And so in first, you know, in 87, I became sober. You know, I didn't drink alcohol. I had no use for drugs in my life. And to today, you know, I've been drug free. And a big deal, or a large part of that soberness is I attribute to ʻAwa, and what it has done for me, besides all the other supporting pillars that I had in my life, and I still have today. You know, I wasn't raised to Olelo, Hawaii in the 70s. We just worked hard and you know, party like rock stars. You know, really in the 70s, it was no holds barred kind of thing, and really when you start starting one family, you soon realize that it's not all about you. It has to be about our keiki and our wahine and our ohana. And in recognizing those things, when helped me focus, I was able to really focus on things that was meaningful to me, and getting high and drinking wasn't a part of, and I was glad. I really was glad, and I'm proud to say that, you know, even though I had struggled with substance abuse, you know, that really went set me up for success as I moved forward from then. Yeah, so I know it's a lot of talking, but you know, that was my first really introduction to ʻAwa, you know, and as I, in 91, I moved home. I lived in ʻAula, and you know, um, ʻAwa youth is a little bit more prevalent, in that areas of the island. But I still wasn't one everyday thing for me. It was when I had to go class, and so when I moved home, I finally um, made a move because on Oahu it was just was hard. It was hard for me and for my wahine to quit her substance use. Yeah. And I said, we gotta go Molokai. We gotta kind of separate ourselves from all of these things that was happening around us. And in '93, I moved home, and I think it was the best move for me because I was able to really focus on my children. And but I was separated from my first wife for 5 years, but I had 2 children within those 5 years. And my daughter, when she was born, she became very ill, and it was because of what happened to her that really went turned the page for me, and to really take responsibility for my my actions, my words, and my children and my ohana. And so when I moved home, I wasn't drinking ʻAwa. I kind of was doing my own thing. I was sober. I was like living the life. I came home, started farming, and but mostly livestock, yeah. And and everything was good. I started to try and connect more with cultural things. I was paddling, I was dancing hula. Those things kept me busy, yeah, besides work. And then it wasn't until I I met my wife, who I'm married to now, that uh, introduced me to a whole nother realm of consciousness, so to speak, because I became more active in uh, in my culture, makahiki. I danced hula, which was awesome, and I learned chants about Molokai and going to these areas, feeling the aina. I felt that connection, yeah. And then it wasn't until I started to go to Kaho'olawe, uh, Pu'ukohola, these ceremonies with other awesome brothers, and there was, and everything was done around the kanoa ava, and I said, man, and it came natural. I just went gravitate to the kanoa, and you know, it's like I had a place right there because of my other experiences. It, I never have to ask, oh, what is that? Or what you doing? What you using it for? Um, I knew it was la'au. It was medicine for me. It helped me, and so I wanted to be able to share that with whoever wanted. Yeah, whoever wanted to inu with me, I would always share my story, and in hopes that it can help them. And so being involved with makahiki, seeing ʻAwa used as a ho'okupu, for our lono akua, for our kane, kanaloa, and ku, really elevated the respect I had for ʻAwa. to new heights, really. And so these ceremonies just brought ʻAwa into a whole new different realm for me, with more reverence, more respect, and knowing that, you know, we all connected. I mean, the thread of ʻAwa through my life was, you know, was connecting in so many ways for me. You know, and in meeting all these awesome kane who exercising their kindness, you know, and how important ʻAwa was in our culture, which I never learned this in my Hawaiiana class. You know, I never learned this, you know, in books. I would learn them like in front of my face, and I was wondering how come this story not more wide, you know? How come Hokane don't know this? ʻAwa, we connected to our cousins down south through this lineage of ʻAwa and seafaring, you know. But ʻAwa is you know, our kupuna. You have to grow it from another ʻAwa plant. So that ʻAwa came from another ʻAwa. So, you know, you can see that mokoauhau, that connection that connects us all, yeah. And so you know, I started to gather my tools, because thinking, you know, I need it for when I go here or go there. So I started to collect kanoa, make papu, and drink ʻAwa as a form of, you know, connecting to my kupuna, and just being in the moment, feeling good, but having a clear mind, you know. Alcohol kind of dulls your mind and your senses, and really as kane, we need to, you know, to bring up our senses. We, we really doing a disfavor to our ohana, to our children, if we always in that state of mind of blurriness, you know. And you know, in learning about ʻAwa and how it used in ceremony, it really helped me to grow as one kane, and going to ʻAhakane, you know, experiencing all those things that a Molokai never have. It was awesome. It was awesome for me. And then, you know, in 2014, I was able to make crew on the worldwide voyage. But before that, in 2011, there was a Te Mana o Te Moana. There was a 7 va'a that came from the South Pacific, yeah. And they had sailed to the Big Island, Maui. I'm not sure if they went to Kaho'olawe, but when they passed, they were supposed to pass Molokai, and then they pulled in. So the phone line was going off like, "Hey, this va'a is coming in, Molokai. We need to feed these people." And like people came down with everything they had, you know. I mean, we found out where we was going to meet. People was bringing food, bringing water, bringing everything. And so we was going, "Hey, we gotta serve ʻAwa." I said, "But we never did one ʻAwa ceremony. I have never did. I've been to a few, but like okay, I get one canoa, I get apu, I have everything. I just need somebody to speak. You know, need a speaker. You need somebody to officiate. Yeah.
Great.
And you know, I really forget because I was on Blur, but I know Mikiala was a big part of it, and um I'm thinking Nahulu, just just you know, Kane who has that presence here to speak and to address this va'a. And so it was something new for me. I was the kahu, I was mixing, and then after the ceremony, uh, the only guys on the mat after they ate was the Tongans, Samoans, and the Fijians. So after we finished all of our ava, we were invited to go back and to their va'a, and just to share stories of their voyage and their life back in their on their islands was like was unreal. You know, had the Samoan va'a, the Tongan, Fijian, had Maru Maru Atua from Cook Island, and had these other combined va'a, and they just was spreading their aloha for voyaging, and just trying to connect the dots that Hōkūleʻa, who has been going down to the south, to Tahiti, Marquesas. They've been to New Zealand, and they just put in Hawaii on the map. And so in 2014, we went down to the Ho'olaulea up in Kamehameha schools, and my kuleana was done. I said, hey, I done. I kind of like do something else. And Mikiala goes, well, go down. Hōkūleʻa is in dry dock. Why don't you go help? I said, oh, perfect idea. And when I went down, lo and behold, I knew people down there.
What year was this?
2013, I think.
2013.
Was the year before.
Okay.
Was a year before our sale. Yeah, because
Wow.
I wasn't a member. I just went down there because I wanted to do, I had time on my hand. And when I went there, I just went jump right in. I worked for National Park at the time. I still am an employee with the National Park Service, but I was in historic preservation, so I figured, hey, I get some carpenter skills, I can help. And we were lashing the deck. They just had lashed the yakos, the two hulls together. So we're working on the deck, coming across, and just working, all day into the night. They feed us, we go back, and then they tell us, okay, come back tomorrow if you can. And it was something. And then, I started to bust out the ava because, that's what I do. And then everybody just started to gravitate towards the canoa. I met awesome guys like Makanani, Atwood, Bruce Blankenfield, had like everybody was there, and all these young guys who just trying to be involved. And so Bruce then asked me, hey, you like be one crew member? I said, yeah, I willing to learn and do whatever I gotta do. And so I went under the wing of Uncle Mel Power, and had other voyagers, young brothers like me who had gone on legs already to Easter Island, to Rapa Nui, and so I knew a bunch of these brothers from Molokai who left. So I was fortunate enough to get involved, and in going and in doing, being on the va'a, I could see how important ava was used as ceremony and as just ʻAwa one la'au as far as on the va'a. You know, I know when we got to Samoa, there was a big storm, and so we couldn't really sail. So we stayed in Samoa for an extra week or so, and so we're able to prepare and to make necessary repairs on Hōkūleʻa, and we left with an ʻawa ceremony. Just a recommitment, because this is the first time our whole crew gonna jump on Hōkūleʻa, take over from the crew before us. And this gonna be our kuleana. It's gonna be our kuleana. Now we sailing her with the crew of Hiki Analia. And so you know, ʻAwa was kind of one thing for me, because I had ʻAwa, and so when it was time for my watch, I was able to you know, I never drink every time, but when the time arose that I could, I would share with the guys on my watch and the captain and even the navigators, so that they could get that mana that comes from ʻAwa, yeah. And so when we went to Vava'u, Tonga, had so much connections with Hawaii as a whole, but with ʻAwa as just our first ceremony, they came in and they brought one super big pua'a and one big root. I mean, it was unplanned, and everybody's looking like, what are we gonna do with this? And I said, I don't know. I think we're gonna start chewing, you know. And jokingly, that's how we did. As chew as much as we can. And but you know, the ʻAwa really connected us to them, and them to us. Them is like the Tongans, and going into Aotearoa with the Maoris, and how much, you know, ceremony is a big part of who they are. It just was uplifting to see ʻAwa being used in such a way that it you know, you just gonna give the respect that it is due, yeah, to the ʻAwa. And so when I returned from the voyage, and you know, I went back to work, you know, in you know, in just my relationship with ʻAwa, you know, I kind of was, you know, off and on with Ahakane. I knew Keola, and then Keola said, "Hey, we're gonna get this new thing, Papa Avalani." I said, "What we gonna do?" He said, "Oh, we're gonna be learning about ceremony and ʻAwa." I said, "Oh, right on. Oh, count me in. I like learn." So when I went there, the first meeting had plenty brothers, and then when they were talking, then I saw Kamana'o right on the board, Mana Olelo, and they were speaking all in Hawaiian, and so I kind of was like, "Oh, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing. As long as they don't talk to me, I cannot, you know, because I don't speak, I cannot Olelo." And I felt kind of like, I don't belong here. So after the second time, the second class, I went to Kamana'o Pono, and I said, "Hey, Kamana'o, I don't think I belong in this class." He said, "Why?" I know Olelo. He said, "Yeah, but you know, the things we learning, you know, we're going to build up our Olelo." And I said, "That's true." And he said, "Plus, I need the young guys for what you do." And I said, "What I doing? I'm not really doing anything." And he said, "No, you notice every time we mix, who is mixing?" I said, "I know, you're always calling me." And I said, "Cause I have, you know, not that I know everything, but I'm comfortable in front of kanoa. I I I handle the ava with respect, like on kupuna, and he said that's what he liked the men notice. That's what he liked them see. So I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna try. And I was in that class for 3 years, and I went puka as a kahu'ava of the kanoa, and knowing the ceremony and the intricates and the what you need to have in the ceremony. Kaka'olelo, you need you makawai, you need all these people that support you and support the oli and the chants that go in to lift up this ceremony and ava. And my tent's still here, but and it was a struggle for me, but I'm so glad that Kamana'o told me, no, just stick with it. I although I didn't speak Hawaiian, I really was able to grasp the essence of why we saying the words we saying, and I'm glad that these oli was left for us to call upon our kupuna, and the akua to bless and to sanctify the ceremony that we trying to do at the time. Yeah, and so it just when lift me to another realm as far as ceremony is concerned, because now I actually doing the ceremony, and I think by doing so, I was able to have the respect from other kane around me, uh, that I kind of do know what I know. I don't really wear it on my sleeve. I wear it inside because we all good at something. We just sometimes hard to find. Yeah, as kane as Kanaka trying to struggle through, especially with this COVID thing. We stressing. A lot of us who normal job, wondering where the next meal coming from, how we gonna pay our bills. Um, the level of stress is real, and and I promise you, brothers out there, that you ava might not be for everybody, but if you really sincere about one change, about trying to focus on your ohana, ava gonna get you there, because it got me there, because I was right down. I had one big hole to climb out of, and I was able to do it um, with the help of my ohana and with the help of Ava, and just finding that those connections to Ava that I was able to connect to, that had Ava, that because that was my ono, and it is still my ono, um, so Avalani, Nakane o Avalani and Kamanaʻopono really when helped me discover and who I am, and I knew who I was already. I just needed more brothers to help water my ava plant for me, and to say no, you can be a contributor in our lahui, um, even with repatriation. I was my brother-in-law and my wife Mikiala has a big part in that, you know, with hui o, you know, the no kupuna o iwi and bringing the kupuna back from Cambridge, from England, and I was able to go to Germany to secure more kupuna that had been taken from Kulaivi here, and just, you know, feeling the kaumaha and being able to help in that way, and everything is done with ʻAwa, you know. It is what what is it's the pa'a, it's the mortar that makes everything um, pa'a, but it is the catalyst really in a lot of our ceremony, ʻAwa. And so I try and incorporate ʻAwa in almost everything that I do um, in my life, and try to encourage more brothers to drink ʻAwa, you know, as a supplement, or you know, something other than just drinking alcohol. And you know, when I started working for the national park, um, I was able to work down in Kalaupapa, which I still do. And when I first went to Kalaupapa, you know, working with all these awesome brothers, you know, Kalaupapa has a legacy of separation. The kupuna that went there in the late 1800s, like early 1900s, they were forced to go there, and people who worked there and became their kokua were just as isolated as the patient themselves. And so nowadays, you know, when I started working there, I could see that separation. You know, the kane there, they work hard, and after work they party hard, you know. And so when I sat down with them and I bring out my kano and my apu, I start mixing. Then they come and they say, "Hey, what is that?" They say, "Oh, it's ʻAwa." "Oh, you know, you drink this?" I said, "Yeah." And I start sharing my story with them, you know, to the point where, you know, brothers was drinking more and more with me, putting away the inu, kalohe, the beer, and actually starting to just drink ʻAwa. And I was like, "Oh, God, that's awesome." You know, I get partners, you know, I get somebody who can sit down and inu. And through the national park system, you know, had brothers from the Big Island who would come and restore stone wall, the rock walls, and so every time they come, we have a big ceremony, ʻAwa. And so um, I started to kind of involve ʻAwa in our work, asking my bosses if, because we're already doing our oli before we work, to prepare our mind, prepare our space, and then also to let the kupuna and those unseen that are there, that we here just to help. And then every day would end with ʻAwa, and as a debriefing tool, to debrief and to share what we felt, how we felt, if there's anything, you know, you noticed um, that um, that you never see before, you know, the ike papalua. And and lo and behold, you know, and you can share or you don't need share, but you know, you just take your one apple, and a lot of things was coming out, you know, in this debrief. And it's really the brothers who's working on the wall. This is right, um, before work is done. And so that really, you know, having the national park recognize that as a tool, um, just as important as our only, um, and in preparing the space so that we can work, um, on these things. You know, we're not the first hands to touch this pohaku. Um, we needed this protection, this pali, and having the ava to help us close was just one right fit. And so, being able to use it as a tool of to debrief, um, after our hard day of work was super important. It was eye opening for me that we're able to use this, um, as a work tool, in our spaces. And um, and we still do use it as today, not as often because you know we're not working on a stone wall, but you know, houses were the same, homes were just where people lived and stayed. And so the mana that is evoked around these things, um, need a place, and we can feel other things happening around us as we work, especially in spaces like in Kalaupapa. Uh, and and so yeah, it was you know, I, I'm glad that we're able to use ava in workspace, you know, as a tool, you know. I think that's awesome, you know. I know I'm kind of rattling on, but you know, anybody get questions, um, for me,
No, thank
yeah.
you for being so transparent and sharing your personal journey. That a big part of it was Ava. But I guarantee you, there are members of our audience that need to hear this story because they're suffering right now, or they're under the influence of things that they shouldn't be. And you're saying that from a small town, small island, living in your car, failed relationships, you were able to turn that around and do some extraordinary things with your life. And it's interesting how culture and Ava played a big part in that. So thank you on behalf of our community and all the men out here that need to hear these stories. Thank you for sharing your story and your journey.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, go
can
ahead.
we talk just a little bit about the plant itself? I know you have things behind you and in front of you that you might want to share a little bit so we
Yeah,
can see.
yeah, okay. So you know, let me, I not really technical, but okay, this is my my
No
la'au,
worries.
because I'm super nervous. But this, if you look down, I sitting along my ava patch. This is a row of ava, and my row is about 90 feet, 95 feet long, and I have
Wait, that's
four.
all Ava, that whole right side.
Yeah, this whole right side
Wow.
is all ava. And so let me try stand up. Yeah. So right now I have ava, um Kea, and ava nene, and this plant is 2 years old. It's planted like the end of 2018.
Wow.
2018. So, and then I have, I mean, if you look across, I have four rows of ava. So it is a lot, but you know, it's just one start for me. You know, really, I trying to let me see if I can back this up. Um, I jokingly say it's gonna be my retirement plan, but it is. It is my retirement
Wow.
plan. Uh,
Do you need any special conditions in order to grow ʻAwa?
just like anything, you want to give it the best chance to grow. So
Yeah.
if you had one windbreak, that would be super good. Um, my ʻAwa putting they in the wind, they in the elements. I don't have windbreak. My tutu and plant big trees. But they're kind of far away. So my ʻAwa, I figure if they're strong, they're gonna grow. And I just but I plant them close so that they can support each other. Normally, you want to try plant about 10 feet apart because you want your root to go out, to grow. I normally it's in a mound, but if you don't have aina, you really don't have to plant on one mound. You can if you get one bucket or one container, you can plant in that. One tote, all you need is one media dirt that they can and make pukas so that the water can percolate through, and drain. Even if it's in a corner of, if you get one apartment, I would put them in one bucket and talk to them. The thing gonna grow. You don't have to grow it for 3 years. Once that thing starts growing out of its bucket, then you harvest them. You cut them, you clean the root, and you can grind them up and prep them so that you can enjoy. Yeah.
I got a question from Tita Jamie Boyd, and she's asking, is it drought tolerant? Can it
Uh,
last, or gotta have plenty of water?
it needs water. I've noticed that most of the Hawaiian varieties need water. Some is more tolerant. The Avanene, surprisingly is tolerant to heat. They grow well, even in the wind. But they're a tall plant. But I think because I planted them so close, I planted them 8 feet apart. But then I I had all these cuttings and I never have enough room, so I just went double up on the space. And so, but the varieties from Tonga and Samoa and Fiji are more tolerant to drought, only because they grow in the wild pretty much. Yeah, they do cultivate them, but they don't have irrigation like we do. When I went to Tonga, I went and I visited one farm, and it was they just plant them and hope they grow. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And if rain, they get one good crop. If doesn't rain, their crop isn't that well. And so, yes, you do need to irrigate um, if you want one good, successful crop. Yeah.
And then
But
when you
good question.
harvest, there's this question from Paliana Makaha. Aloha, thank you for this question. They're asking, does it kill the plant when you harvest, or is it
Yeah.
able to?
No, when you harvest the plant, you pull the whole plant out,
Okay,
uh, and that's where you make your cuttings. When
okay,
before you pull it out, you need to go and select your best branches from your plant, and then And then from there, you proceed to cut it all down, you know, everything. But you want to keep the corm, which is on the very bottom, and then you start digging it out. You have to literally dig the aina so you can release the plant from the aina. Yeah. So but if you have a bucket or one, like a container, a big container, or on wire, you not even container, you can plant them in wire, basket, but you still need to put something that not the your dirt not gonna run away. Yeah, you plant them in there, and when you harvest it, you just shake all of the dirt off of your plant. But yes, you kill the plant, and then you gotta make new cuttings.
And then how long is that cycle? Is that like a 2-year cycle, 4-year?
If you're planting in the ground, if you can leave it as long as you want, really. My guess for me is I wanna be able to grow it every 3 years, 3 to 4 years, and harvest already, so that I can replant and just keep that cycle going. I have the land to do it. I might not have all the resources because a lot of it is just hand tilled, pick picking the oo. But I have friends with machines that I can use a cultivator to huli the ground to make soft, and then I mount it by hand. Yeah. But
Your wife is messaging me. She said, "Show the stock that you have right next to you."
oh, okay. Let me see.
Thank you, Mikiala.
Okay,
nice.
so this is, you can see by my hand how big the stock is.
Wow.
And this is the avanene. This is about 3-4 feet long. And this is the mahakea, different variety, but same look. Yeah. So yeah, this the kind you like select this kind that is healthy and that you can go and be able to grow. Yeah. Oh, good questions. I'm glad, because man, I'm running out of stuff with that. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, we can start talking about the ʻAwa plant. So my daughter, she runs a nursery down in Waimea Bay, Waimea Falls. And so yeah, so she's been helpful in me propagating and just giving me hints and helping me along the way. And so I right now I have about maybe 7 or 8 different varieties. I mentioned I just got some papakea. I have mahakea. I have hiva. I got my first what is that? Mapulehu. Yeah, mapulehu. Yeah. And then and opihikau. And a lot of the ʻAwa is named for the district that they harvested from or where they grew. So so Mapulehu is an area on Molokai. We have Mo'ula is in Halava. I have Nene. I have some Fijian variety Isa. But,
the stocks that you have there with you, how old are those to get
2
that
years
big?
old. 2
years. Wow.
Yeah, they're 2 years old. Maybe if I bring them ladies, then you can see the But yeah, they're two going on 3 years old. I was hoping to be retired by now. You know, I wasn't joking when I this gonna be my retirement plan. You know, grow ava, grow kalo. Uh, I do beekeeping too, but my main crop gonna be ava and kalo. Yeah, that's my
The different ones that you named are from different districts, but do they have different qualities as well, or different flavors to them, tastes?
yes. They do. You know, the mahakea, when you mix it, it's a lighter. It's light in color. Maybe that's where the kale comes from. Yeah, it's a lighter color when you're mixing. The nene is a bit darker. If you look, it has this green stem with these green dots, darker dots on the inside. But this ava, when I drink it, I dream more, you know. So I was going, oh, you know, you gotta kind of do your own observations as far as what
Ah,
ava you like, yeah. So the ava nene, I tend to my, I don't know what you call it, your dream state or your realm uh, is more active when I drink ava nene.
oh,
And
interesting.
then mahakea, papa ele ele, I really like. Um, it's a low growing. The nodes are closer to each other. Like these nodes are really far apart. Yeah, almost a foot
Hmm.
apart. But the papa ele ele is closer, and they kind of like real. Um, their knuckles are closer together, and they grow lower to the ground, which I kind of wanted because Holihua is real windy. Yeah, so I wanted a plant that wasn't gonna grow too tall because I know it's gonna break. Well, when the wind comes, it'll break. Um, but you know, they'll survive. Yeah, survivors like us. So
Yes. Is our Ava closely related to the kava throughout the Pacific, and how is it different from? Like, I'm sure
um,
you tried Samoan and Tongan.
oh yeah. No, they exactly alike. You know,
Oh,
when you look at the plant, um, they grow similarly the same way. When you harvest it, it's the same. Um, I think um, it's the mokuauhau of their ava that kind of is separate because the ava, you know, um, that we have came on the va'a, yeah. So whatever they brought, that's what we had. Um, and so um, like the Fijian varieties, the Tongan varieties is kind of what you buying in the store. You know, when you go to a market and you see, you know, Fiji kava, whatever. It's really what's coming from the South Pacific, and you gonna notice the taste. Um, some brothers who always mix, they can tell right away if it's a Tongan variety, if it's a Samoan variety, Fijian, or even Hawaii. And so I try to raise more Hawaiian varieties
mhm.
because I'm from here, and I want to perpetuate that line and that mokuauhau. Um, and the more we rejuvenate and revive these plantings, because these a lot of these plants came from the valleys, you know. um, when it had the resurgence of ava in the 80s and early 90s. um, you know, guys like Uncle Jerry Konanui, who was really, really instrumental in encouraging me to grow ʻawa and grow food really for your family. And I really credit him for giving me that spark and say that I can do it, because you know the elements is here is not the best, but he said the ʻawa going hold, and they're going kind of change their characteristics to mirror the elements that they're grown in. So if it's windy, they're not gonna grow that tall. They're gonna learn really fast, and they're going,
Right.
kind of shorten, and they're going hold, and I can see that in my ʻawa. So the mahakea and the nene is on tall plant, By the nodes, you can see how long the nodes are. They're supposed to grow tall. They're supposed to stretch, and and they're weathering the Hollywood elements right now. Yeah.
I got a message from Chantel all the way in Detroit, and she's asking, she's really on for ʻawa, but she's asking if it can grow in cold weather.
I don't think so. They're now on cold weather plant. But maybe you can grow them in your house, or in something that can keep the frost and keep that coldness away.
Right.
And you can still enjoy ʻawa, either that, or you gotta, Google down Florida, whoever get, Orlando. Shout out to my son who live in Orlando, and they mix all the time there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Can you touch a little bit on the tools used to not in ceremony or in the mixing process, the kanoa and the apu? Is there special wood that the kanoa is made out of, or?
I think you want to use wood that not gonna leach any kind of harmful thing. Koa is great for weapons or furniture, or it's a hardwood, but they kind of leach, so you wouldn't carry water or store food in one koa bowl, but in coal, mango, what is kamani. Those are the hardwoods that we would use. Even milo is a perfect wood also for kanoa. So I didn't bring one. I have several kanoa, but these are just small ones that I normally drink with. I usually put my ʻawa bag inside, and then I just mix, and I have my apu, which is made out of new coconut.
And that's always, apu is always made out of new.
On apu, can
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time, because it's shaped, perfect. Yeah, but you have apu that were made of milo, and it's really the new would be the best one, because it's already, you just crack them in half and you have a cup. Yeah, you don't have to carve or do anything special. But I think as you use ʻawa in ceremony, the apu, you become more specific. Yeah, you have an apu just for your daily ʻawa, but for ceremony, you would want to keep those apu separate, so that they don't crack. The less you use it, you can you don't want to be handling it too much, as far as tendency to mishandle and break. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd like to say mahalo to our viewers. We got about like 20 or 30 questions online, but what we're gonna do is is it okay to give your email or give your contact out there if people want to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, we have it already. I think Kanani put it in the comments.
Okay.
But I like the way that this conversation went today. It wasn't just, hey, this is ʻAwa, this is the styles, this is how you plant them. You really told us your story and how ʻAwa was a part of your life and your journey. And I think for our platform and our show, that was more important than just talking about the plant itself. We're just about out of time, but I know you gave us a lot of good little nuggets of inspiration, but is there any closing thoughts that you can give to the Kane in our Hawaiian community? Some encouraging words during these times?
Yeah.
And then we'll end our episode.
Yeah. Mahalo for the time. I really felt that I really don't have anything to share, but when I look deeper, I did, and I just like to express my aloha to all the Kane and those who are struggling with substance addiction, because it's real. It's around us and about us, and if we can really focus and learn to draw upon what really matters in our life, and if nothing matters to you, then you're not gonna care, but we have to care. We come from awesome kupuna that struggled so that we don't have to, and if alcohol and drug abuse is bringing you down, you gotta find another pillar to stand on, another anchor to tie up your aho to, so that you're not gonna drift. And really, number one, ohana, kia kua, your beliefs in something better than you, and in ʻAwa was really helpful to me to really get over that hump and see the connections that I have with ʻAwa and how it really came full circle in my life. And now I really don't go without a day without having ʻAwa. And I credit my my looks, man, but I do, I healthy because of the ʻAwa. I
Right.
really truly owe my health. I no more blood pressure and all this, but brothers, you guys gotta believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. And that's my closing remark. Mahalo, kale, man. We gotta get together,
Mahalo.
bro. Molokai.
I know. I'm so humbled to share space with you today, but hopefully next time it's in person and we can share some apu together.
Right. Mahalo.
So on behalf of our Hawaiian community, especially our Kane out there who are in need of encouragement and inspiration, special mahalo to you, Keoki Pescaia. Mahalo nui. Aloha. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, aloha, huiho.
I'm going to do a few things to end our episode. A couple of closing announcements. Be sure to check out our other programs on Kanaeokana, Lea Nue Nue, Aloha Rising, Kua Kanaka, Aikole, and of course us, He Huewai Ola. We just finished a great season of Aha Opio and Aha Keiki for our teens and our babies. Those are available online as well. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Aha Kane and Kanaeokana. Mahalo nui to our sponsors that make this possible. Aha Kane, Kanaeokana, Hawaii Tourism through the Hōkūleʻa Ola program, Papa Ola Lokahi, and Consuelo Foundation. Every week, we have a resources page to help our Hawaiian community during this pandemic. This week, we're kind of focusing on food drives. For those of you who are in need of some assistance in that way, there's lists here of organizations for every island. And you can go ahead and go to the website and find out more about food pickups and food drives and so forth. Again, if you need someone to talk to, if you need assistance of any kind, especially during these COVID times and the second lockdown, there is help out there. All you got to do is reach out. Here's a couple numbers at the bottom of this page as well. Otherwise, please help us improve Huewai Ola by taking a short survey. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all, I think it's the most questions we've ever had on an episode. So we'll try and get back to all you folks that have been engaging with us. Otherwise, we're here every Friday, 2 p.m. on Kanaʻaukana's Facebook page. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kale Chang. You're watching Huewai Ola. We'll see you next week, Friday at 2 p.m. Mahalo and aloha.